Greetings from Costa Rica and welcome to our live Friday broadcast. My name is Matt Rosensteel and I am a Guanacaste real estate broker. Today, our topic is going to be actually 8 homes with price reductions that are for sale here in Guanacaste currently. As always on my Friday show, we'll also talk a little bit about information and price reductions in general and what they need. I'm very excited to share that today is also a very special Friday because not only are we going to be premiering this live broadcast, but stay tuned right after this broadcast as I actually have another video for you all to enjoy. That is going to be our Friday field trip here, and I'm looking for the banner. The Friday field trip will be a new video series that I'm doing where I get out of the office, visit the real world, sort of head out into Guanacaste, and also check out an amazing real estate listing at the same time. So I'll be making that video public moments after I finish this broadcast, literally putting that out there. If you want to get in touch with me, folks, my email is matt@costaricamat.com. I wanted to make it clear there are areas that I serve along the coast here in Guanacaste. The areas in which I can help people range from Potrero all the way down, really through Playa Marbella. But I've listed the areas where I serve buyers and sellers of Costa Rica real estate there, from Potrero down through Tamarindo and Langosta, and primarily here in Playa Junquial, where our home community is. If you want a full resource V-book, information about the real estate process here in Costa Rica, you can go to costaricamat.com, click on the blue button that says V-book, and fill out the form, and I'll be more than happy to send you that resource, which is an organized book that has 20 chapters, really with the basics of Costa Rica real estate and specifically Guanacaste. Our home, like I mentioned, our topic today is specifically going over homes with reduced prices that are currently on the market. I actually have 8 that I'm going to show, although I originally planned to do 7. Before I get started, I did want to mention a very important update. If you watch my channel, typically, a couple weeks ago, I brought up the Liberia Airport bridge situation. There was really bad traffic problems resulting from bridge repair work done. I speculated that it could take a heck of a long time, but was completely wrong. At least this phase of bridge repairs is finished up. Traffic is normal from the Liberia Airport into the rest of Guanacaste. And aside from those delays that you can see along that highway, you really don't need to plan your trip specially anymore in order to accommodate for that bridge repair that I mentioned. Now, I believe that they plan some kind of long-term project there. They do have to eventually replace that bridge. However, for the time being, traffic is flowing, and anyhow, it won't be an issue. So I wanted to be sure to bring that up to my audience first and foremost. If you're out there and watching live today, don't hesitate to reach out with a comment, question, or concern. Be certain to smash that like button because every little bit of activity helps my videos with Google. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started here with a quick discussion about price reductions in Costa Rica in general, interpreting them and really when they typically happen. You know, I've been recently citing an example here. There is a luxury property on the market currently that started out with a listing price of over $7 million, and they have had continual price reductions until they're now in the 3 range. A lot of price reductions in Guanacaste real estate do result from the fact that, yes, because we don't have an MLS, because there are many factors involved in accurately pricing a property, the original asking price can in fact simply be inaccurate. And it'll take a long time for sellers to come around to the idea, in many cases, that their price wasn't necessarily what the market was going to bring them. Remember, Guanacaste for foreigners is still largely a cash market, although we are going to be talking about future sources of financing, or rather, we're going to be talking about sources of financing in the future. But this being a cash market for foreigners, it is still a very slow real estate market compared to the United States and Canada. Listings can be on the market for 6 months, 12 months, or 18 months. And those cash sellers, folks who own their properties outright, are less motivated because they don't have debt pushing them to force the sale of their property. So price reductions can typically come very deep into a listing period, whereas in the US, they might be happening very shortly after a property is listed because the market feedback is immediate and it's easy to interpret. Down here, you get sellers who really feel like, well, my home just hasn't found the perfect buyer yet. They cross their arms and they wait to reduce their price for a very long time until they have some outside motivating factor that's really pushing them to go out and start looking for those buyers. Typically, you're going to see a lot of price reductions happen in Costa Rica between our high seasons of real estate, where really from January through April, we have so many visitors in the area. You typically won't see prices changing right then. Again, in June and July, we also get another good wave of visitors. And while we have lots of traffic, if you see people reducing their price during those really high times of year, then they can tend to be those more motivated sellers who are actively trying to snag buyers right then. But generally speaking, you're going to see a large number of price reductions after the high season has ended. Sellers have then gotten their feedback that, okay, nobody made an offer on my property. And going into May, you might see a lot. August, September, and October, you will also see a good number of price reductions as well. Today, I'm not only going to discuss the specific reductions that we have on the property, I'm going to give you the old listing price and the percentage difference so that you can get a better idea of what sorts of reductions we see. In general, I feel that you do get a lot of price reductions that are really done by sellers in order to create some publicity around their listing. In other words, they've listed their property for X months, they didn't get an offer, and now they want another round of PR about their property to go out. And frequently, your smaller price reductions, 2 to 5%, those can be sellers who are really just trying to, get another fresh round of publicity out there. And then price reductions from 5% and above, you start to see really sellers who are motivated and actually out there trying to search for that price point that is going to motivate a buyer to bring them an offer. Without further ado, let's start talking about our first price reduced home on the market here. And it's one of my favorite listings that we've had here at our brokerage. We're first going to be looking at Casa Ibiza here near Playa Negra and Playa Junquial. And let me bring up the information here. Casa Ibiza is now priced at $289,000. It was originally priced at $325,000. You have seen multiple reductions that now total 11% on the home. So we're talking about a pretty significant lowering here that's happened. And at $289,000, I have to say, this is now a property that is priced clearly under the current replacement cost. It has a 1/4 acre lot. This 1/4 acre currently costs you in the neighborhood of minimum $50,000, if not $70,000, $80,000 or $90,000 in our area. This type of full concrete, high quality construction is currently being bid at about $185 per square foot. So if we started to tally up even just $50,000 for the lot, which would be a bargain currently, and if we tack on $180 for your 1,300 square foot home, then if we add on this gorgeous pool that's behind the home, the finishings, furnishings, landscaping, everything, I think you would have a very difficult time currently replacing Casa Ibiza for $289,000 or really anywhere near it. It is not flimsy construction. This is a solid house that's been built really well. I love Ibiza because it's set up with sort of a guest apartment currently, although that guest apartment could be brought into the main space with a doorway. It's also just an absolutely turnkey home. The owners live there. Every detail has really been taken care of. The furnishings are wonderful. The decor is beautiful. It's just a comfortable property that is ready for people to move in. And it's one of those that is a perfect, quick 10-minute drive out to the beach. You're in an area with a lot going on and tons of surfing and plenty of, activity, yet you're tucked back on a quiet road where you would have very few people actually passing by the front of your home. So it's a great combination of being in an active area here with Avellanas, Negra, and Junquillal, yet really sort of tucked into the woods. That was Casa Ibiza, now at $289,000. Really, again, a house that is now priced below its replacement cost in the current market, and one that's gonna find an owner here one way or another. Next, we're going to move on to Casa Monitos. They're now at $399,000 here in Tierra Pacifica. Casa Monitos, and I'll bring up the information here, was originally listed at $429,000, and at a $30,000 reduction, that's about a 7% price reduction. Again, we're looking at a property that you probably could not replace today for this amount of money. The current lot prices in Tierra Pacifica start at $175,000. This type of construction, again, the quality custom concrete construction is costing $185 per square foot. So with a 1,200 square foot home and a $170,000 piece of property, again, once you furnish a home, etc., you're not going to be able to replicate a property like Monitos for the current asking price in Guanacaste. And really, it's a home that is less than 10 years old. I believe it's 7. Don't have the year that it was built listed here, but it is a fairly new home. It's been incredibly well kept by its current owners. And the cool thing about Casa Monitos within Tierra Pacifica is that it's just a 10-minute walk out to the beach. The community has this beach access trail that heads out to Playa Junquillal. And so Monitos is the home that is closest to that access trail, or rather it's one of 2 homes that are right by that trail. And you can walk down to the beach itself in literally 10 minutes from Casa Monitos. At $399,000, you're not seeing a lot of comparable inventory. I could show you plenty of homes on the market that either have smaller lots that are not in gated communities, or that are very much not the quality of home, fully turnkey and comfortable as Monitos is, that would typically be your inventory at that price point. And so that was Casa Monitos at $399,000 now, and a 7% price reduction. Our third price reduced home is again in Tierra Pacifica, and this is again one of my favorite listings. Really, it's been surprising this year. In Tierra Pacifica, I had 4 or 5 homes listed, and 2 that have gone under contract or sold were actually the larger, more expensive homes that I honestly would have expected to last longer on the market. Casa Jardín was originally $470,000. It is now down at $455,000 for a 3% price reduction. And part of what you're looking at here is that the sellers have beyond $455,000 in value, again, in this property. We're looking at a 1,400 square foot home, or it's 1,375 square feet for the home. You also have a garage workshop. This space, the workshop is fully equipped. The home is absolutely turnkey. Again, they've got every detail, and I'm trying to get to the interior pics here. This is a home that the new buyers could immediately move into without an issue. They've actually been repainting a lot of the inside of the home to make it even more fresh and welcoming. Casa Jardín at $455,000, again, would be very difficult to replace in the current market for that price. These are sellers who are not super motivated yet. They've brought down the price just a skosh, especially to try and stay, within the comparable homes in Tierra Pacifica. But again, this is a property where if you were to try and replicate this, you'd have a very tough time. I wanted to mention Tierra Pacifica is actually part of the subject of my Friday field trip. Again, the video that will be made public right after this broadcast. There we'll touch on the amenities, show a little bit of the pool. I'll also go over a listing that I have in there for a 3-bedroom home, Casa Cristalina. So again, just look at my channel right after this broadcast. We'll be publishing the new Friday field trip video the second we're done here with these price reductions, and you'll be able to enjoy that as well. I stop by and get a haircut in this Friday field trip. Let's move on to listing number 4 that has a price reduction today. We're talking about Villa Nacará, which actually you're going to see on my channel here soon. Mariam and I were busy filming a video there just yesterday. Villa Nacará is a property that was originally listed at $715,000. The owners are now at $639,000 for a reduction of 11%. I want you to stay tuned for the video on this property. It has a really amazing indoor-outdoor floor plan that here you can see exactly what that looks like. You're in the main dining, living, and open living space here, and there's nothing separating you from the gorgeous gardens outside and the pool. So it's a home structured really around living that indoor-outdoor lifestyle. You go along this beautiful wooden pathway here to get to the bedrooms. They flank the lap pool. It's got a 15-meter lap pool, and it's also tucked into a really great location that I want to talk about here. I will bring up Google Maps for you so you can get an idea of where Villa Nacará is located. It's, again, one of these situations where you have great access, but also good privacy and a lack of traffic right in front of your home. Villa Nacará is tucked into the Rio Santo community, which I'm trying to find as I scroll through and talk live on YouTube, which is never a great recipe. But yes, this is Rio Santo back in here. And Villa Nacará is located right here. You can see it on Google Maps. So you've got this back corner in a little private community. This access, it's not a gated community, and there's not like security with HOA fees and those strict codes, covenants, and regulations. But Rio Santo is a private community in that the only people who are on this road are the ones who are supposed to be there, and it's not just a public thoroughfare. It's also just a quick 10-minute drive down into Tamarindo itself, and it's 15 minutes from all of the private schools up here that are between Villarreal and Huacas, or it might be 20 minutes tops out to La Paz and Cria, which are here out by Flamingo and Brasilito. So Villa Nacara is perfect for families who want to come down. If you're looking to get somewhere where you need access to those schools, the property has great access to the schools. It's an incredible rental property because the design, the aesthetic are really going to catch people's eyes and get those clicks on Airbnb. You're also going to get people really sort of in love with that huge pool, the gardens, the idea of having an indoor-outdoor living room. And because it's close to everything, really just a couple minutes from a main highway, your renters are going to have a positive experience, with easy access coming down to the property and not getting lost somewhere in the woods. So if you're looking to invest in a special looking, some sort of unique boutique Costa Rica rental property, Villa Nacara is definitely a great candidate with great access to everything. And now at $639,000 for what is really a 4-bedroom home on an agricultural property that close to Tamarindo, you're at a really decent price range for our market. That similar price in, as we get closer to Tamarindo, for example, you could find 3-bedroom homes on very small properties where essentially the home is wall to wall, the entire lot, about 3 blocks from Tamarindo itself. Those 3-bedroom homes are more on the order of 1,500 square feet with a tiny plunge pool, and those are in the $600,000 range as a comp. You could also find some properties further away from Tamarindo that would have a similar construction value, but that same price point. But otherwise, right now in the market, it can be very difficult to find something that is, yes, accessible to Tamarindo and the private schools. It is located in a private community, Rio Santo, where a lot of people want to be, and where you've got this big agricultural lot, a 5,000 plus meter property that actually feels like your ideal Costa Rica, sort of living rather than being crushed with neighbors on either side of you. So that was Villa Nacara, again, now listed at $639,000, 11% down from where it was originally listed at $715,000. So yes, you can assume you've got sellers there who really want to get their property moving. Let's move on now to a listing that my colleague Jürgen has had on the market. This is an interesting property that obviously is not for everybody out there. We're talking about the 14-acre homestead property that Jürgen has listed just up the valley from us here in a town called Las Delicias. This would make an excellent place to really start your own hobby farm, or if you're looking to really produce your own food, it's an excellent opportunity because the property comes with a pigsty, all kinds of agricultural sort of buildings on it. It does have a 2-bedroom home at the very top of the farm. As you drive up, it has absolutely gorgeous views from the top of the property. And now they are reduced to $699,000, down from an original price that was 22% higher at $900,000. So these are sellers that have really started to look for that market value. And yes, this was a property that is very difficult to judge the value of in the market because not a lot of people are currently buying and selling 14-acre farms in Guanacaste. And in fact, our market has largely shifted to where your typical buyer is often looking for an easy turnkey 2-bedroom home or condo. And so these larger farm properties really don't move very often, let alone homestead properties that are not just that aren't necessarily, right in those high demand areas, but off the beaten path here towards Las Delicias. From this home, it would still only be a 30-minute drive right into Tamarindo. It has direct access to a paved highway, which is awesome. You see the home and pool are perched up there on the hilltop, and it's definitely, definitely a property for people who have that dream. I want to go to Costa Rica and have a project. Maybe you want to start a multi-family sort of setup and bring in other people, or segregate and sell chunks of the property down the line. And Jurgen's farm would make a great candidate for that. So let's keep moving on here. I want to go to our 6th listing today, which is Casa Courage in Playa Negra. And Casa Courage is actually a quasi beachfront home. It's really, you walk across one other property to get to the water from Casa Courage, and it's been reduced to $825,000 from $899,000 for an 8% drop. If you are a surfer and are looking for the perfect surf vacations, Casa Courage is right up your alley. It's walking distance from Playa Negra. It's really always going to be a huge rental income property because of that possibility. It also comes with a separate dome that could be, the possibility of you come down for a vacation and stay in your dome and still rent out the main house. Excuse me. Or vice versa. You live in the main home and you're renting out the dome for income. But it's very fresh design, great aesthetic. It will perform well on the rental market. And you're going to find very few properties that are this close to one of Costa Rica's top surf breaks. And Playa Negra continues to be, a break that brings tourism. There are people that constantly book trips to come down and be able to hit Playa Negra. So definitely anything that is this short of a distance from the wave itself is going to be a popular property and in demand in that rental market. Moving on, we actually have a property that is closer to Tamarindo and right at the crux of everything going into Tamarindo. This property will actually be the subject of next week's Friday field trip, and we're talking now about Cabinas El Corazón de Tamarindo, which, yes, this is and people live there. We were sort of discussing whether to classify it as a home or a commercial property, but it's actually, Cabinas Corazón de Tamarindo is actually 2 homes and 4 apartments. So it's a huge rental income generator, it's got that potential. It's a great spot to live because you've got this classic Caribbean home that's a 3-bedroom. This is situated at the back of the property. Cabinas El Corazón de Tamarindo is a half-acre lot. Really at the back, you've got this nice, despite being at the center, really right, just a quick 2-minute drive down to Tamarindo. Back at the house here, you feel like you're in an oasis, sort of in your own private wooded area. And it just has this wonderful Guanacaste aesthetic. or rather, sort of charming Central American aesthetic. It's definitely, anyhow, there's the Caribbean home at the back. They have a large, spacious pool, little rancho for that. Here are the 4 apartments. Each of the 4 apartments has been decorated differently, so you sort of have themes. They're all eye-catching, and they're stuff that people would click on Airbnb. And then you have this concrete 2-bedroom home at the front of the property that would either make a great long-term rental. Again, you could live there as well. At this property, you have really unlimited flexibility, whether you're renting all 6 properties separately, whether you're trying to look for events and sort of retreats to stay there. It would be an awesome place to try and look for a contract with, a larger travel company. For example, if you hooked up with an English language school or, Swiss travel to bring larger groups through the property, could be great income potential. And they've reduced from $899,000 down to $848,000 for a 6% reduction, right in the middle of what we've seen today between that 2 and sort of 11% price reduction range. We've got one more property to talk about today, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say before then. Happy anniversary of D-Day, and happy June 6th to everybody out there. I'd say thank you for everyone for their sacrifice, but I think that there are decreasing numbers of people who were alive on D-Day around on planet Earth these days, but I'm always thinking June 6th was the Normandy invasion. But anyhow, if you do have any questions or comments or concerns, don't forget you can email me at matt@costaricamatt.com. I'm more than happy to help you in those areas that I had discussed at the beginning of the broadcast, anywhere from Potrero down to Junquial and even Playa Negra here in Guanacaste. It'd be a pleasure to assist you as a realtor. Our final listing today is Casa Pacifico in Playa Negra, which is, again, a property that, it is a home for sure and can be a home. It's also somewhat of a commercial property, and it has huge rental potential because this is actually an 8-bedroom property where you have 3 levels that are separate in this main structure. And each level is a separate condominium, really. So you could live in the top floor and rent 2 out. You could rent all 3 floors out. You could also reformat the property because, frankly, it was built with these massive spaces that you can see. The total square footage is 4,800 square feet in this building. And really, they have some huge bedrooms. The living spaces are large. I bet somebody who wanted to really remodel this property could reconfigure things into something with, either a different bedroom configuration, more apartments, or to just bring some of the, furnishings and sort of the look and feel of the property further into the 21st century. At 8 total bedrooms. If I'm not mistaken, you have 6 total in the main bedroom here, and then a separate caretaker house as well. Anyway, there are 4 separate apartments there, so it does give you extreme flexibility. And this is a property that, once again, is walking distance to Playa Negra. I will show you on the map exactly what we're talking about here. The home is located right here. And actually, I will also show you the location of Cabinas El Corazón de Tamarindo so that you get an idea there as well. Here is Casa Pacifico. It is one of these structures right in here. Oh, it's even conveniently labeled for us. You can see that it is 2 blocks walking distance to Playa Negra itself, which is one of Costa Rica's absolute top surf breaks. And so, yeah, you've got thousands of people every day Googling Playa Negra to find out the surf conditions and what the wave is doing. And if you wanted to, use those apartments as a rental property, you could definitely leverage that. To quickly go back for a second, so anyhow, at Casa Pacifico, they're now asking 1.5 million, or rather 1,499. They were originally $50,000 more than that for a 3% price reduction. Coming back to the map, I did want to mention, I hadn't shown the exact location. Cabinas El Corazon de Tamarindo, the previous listing that I brought up, is located literally just 200 yards from the intersection here where you turn to go to Tamarindo. So as a property with future potential, it's really unlimited because you can see by the development how important this area is for Guanacaste and the level of activity that's happening there. It is really just a super short drive out to the private schools here, a very quick drive to a ton of beaches. And for example, this location at Cabinas El Corazon de Tamarindo would be an incredible spot to long-term rent some apartments to all of the workers in the area who desperately need affordable housing. There are thousands of people with jobs out in this area who really can't find many options. And you've got 4 apartments at Cabinas El Corazon. Each of those has kitchenettes. You also have the 2 homes themselves. I could see renting out those 4 apartments maybe to, teachers, all kinds of workers in the area, and then finding families who have come down to Guanacaste for the 2 homes, and just doing a long-term rental play with Cabinas El Corazon and having those properties solidly booked. So anyhow, folks, I'm about to hit publish on my next video, which will be, once again, that Friday field trip I was discussing here earlier in the video. Hopefully you'll stick around and tune in for that. See you next Friday. Once again, we'll be back live on my channel. Friday, we're going to be discussing some very interesting lending possibilities. And we're going to see whether or not there may be loans available for foreigners. Finally, we might have a 30-year fixed mortgage that we can offer people with only 30% down on their property in Costa Rica. So for all you U.S. citizens who are looking to buy property in Costa Rica, don't miss next Friday's financing frenzy, or whatever the heck I'm going to call it. Thanks very much for tuning in, folks. Pura vida, have a great weekend, and take care.